the ZENworks pre-sales for the DACH region, and also responsible together with Ron van Herk, which is normally doing the webinars for the northern region. Today, yes, we will cover ZENworks Endpoint Security. And I've created some slides, but almost I want to dig into the product, not taking that marketing slides, because most of you maybe have configuration management in place and or the ZENworks suite. And part of Open Workgroup suite is endpoint security, and the part of the full suite which does not include the streaming part here of hybrid workspaces is endpoint security. So if you have the ZENworks suite or if you have the Open Workgroup suite, then you always can use endpoint security. So it's activated within the suite, or you in the Open Workgroup suite, you would have an additional key in your SLD to download and to activate the product. If you haven't endpoint security so far, you can activate it for 60 days. And there is an extension available from Ron or me to extend it for more than 60 days. So we are currently also speaking to IDC and others to also get for the next years the leader and the major players. So that's always important to know that we are currently working with in the market, so to gain our share and to get known what we are doing. Going to ZENworks Endpoint Security. So security is a point which is machines are attacked. And there are it is like the level, or it's like a peel of an onion, yeah, where attackers try to get access to a machine, and some of the parts which you see here, like software patching, are other products. Anti-malware is part of endpoint security nowadays, so you know that there is a third-party solution integrated into ZENworks. We will not cover that, but we will speak about the personal firewall, the Wi-Fi, the application control, mailbox protection. That's another thing not included in endpoint secured. We will see data encryption, data backup. That's also not part of endpoint security. And yeah, user education is never part of a product. That's part of our partners. That's part of reading the documentation. That's a constantly way how users need to update their knowledge. And this is always most important, one of the most important things that users are aware of what they're doing. Therefore, a lot of companies are doing penetration tests to users to remind them to be always stay patient and to know what they are doing. So some concepts. If you are activated endpoint security, so in the end, endpoint security acts from the inheritance same like other policies in the product. Yeah, so there are inheritance, but you also need to be aware what is a location, what is important, or who is in the end the one who is overwriting. Is this a user or device assignment? That sometimes if you assign policies to your users, you should be aware that there is also for security or for endpoint security, there's a new term called zone assignment. So there is a possibility in the configuration. You see here in the default, you see it here in the screenshot, or you could see it if you go to the ZENworks console here in configuration. You have always, and that's why I have screenshots there, you have in the security part here, you have that zone policy setting. And here you can set up the policies for your devices that does not show up in the configuration. And if you create policy and you put here, they are the default standard policies that are the minimum security. If you play around with the tool, don't do it in the beginning. Always try to find a folder where you put your beginning or your testing machines in, and in those folders, if you want to play with the zone setting, you can always go to the security and override the zone settings or start with zone settings from here. So that's how I also did configure this configuration here. And then you can assign the policies to devices, and then the inherited in the end is the thing what effective comes down to the machine. So I will send the slides to here ZISPA so that they can distribute, if you want, also the PDF so that you have the slide decks and the informations here. Same to the policy ordering, yeah. So if there's a policy assigned, and you will see that when we look into endpoint security, we are speaking about locations, we're speaking about known location and unknown location. As a ZENworks administrator, you are aware that we have location zones in ZENworks, but endpoint security is using them deeper as the standard ZENworks configuration management does. So it uses locations that are configured in that location settings, also in the configuration, which is maybe known to you. So we have here those locations, and in those locations you define your locations that are unknown. This is always a standard location which comes with every ZENworks zone, and with endpoint security you can go on top there so that you define your network environments, so that endpoint security is able to detect if you are inside your perimeter from your company or if you are outside the perimeter of your company. And as a result of that, the policies which we briefly talked over, which you have seen, like application blocking, like firewall settings and so on, they would behave different in the way in which location you are sitting. And to see how or which location and which policy is in the end the one who is configuring the workstation, we have in our agent the possibility to see which policies are assigned. So you see here, for example, the zones, the zone policies, and you see here the direct assigned policies to the workstation, to the device. And then in the end, that combination of that is what is setting up the configuration of the workstation. Yeah. So also look here how it is behaving. So there are many configurations inside endpoint security. If you start to use it, try to be as simple as you can. Normally, when you start with endpoint security configuration, ZENworks configuration management hasn't activated the client defense, the client self-defense of the agent, and you would see in the client itself that here is only those 3 buttons activated, That means the client self-defense of endpoint security is yet not initialized. The client self-defense is a great feature. All drivers that are implemented to configure things like location detections, like what is about USB and so on. These are kernel level drivers. And so that also an administrator is not able to override them. The client self-defense is a part of that security concept. And also so that the client is not able to deinstall by the user. These are all parts of that client defense. And in the client security, you are able to set those configurations here. Yeah. So I also haven't set that up here in the global setting. So that's also a configuration like before here in the DE. So where I would, for a testing purpose, start to use those settings and to make the device more secure so that users aren't able to deinstall devices and aren't able to deinstall the ZENworks agent so that they can gain access to USB devices or communication devices that you aren't or which you haven't allowed to the customer. Yeah, so be aware a little bit of that. You can see always, as you have seen on the screen pictures itself or on a client. As always, a problem with passwords. What is here? Let me see. So here you see a client. Here I'm in the agent in the technical interface, and endpoint security is here configured. And this device here has, if I go to informations, this device isn't in that DE container, and therefore only the minimum configurations are visible here, where you can see, for example, your zone and device configuration. There is nothing configured here. Therefore, that machine wouldn't get any security here. So, and now the second part, why wasn't that here? That's strange. Restart. I don't know. But we will have a look in a few seconds when with another device. Okay. Going into next features. Okay, now we'll speak about the policies. So we haven't so much time, so we need to speed a little bit. And if there are questions, I would take them in the end so that we can talk about. Basic concept, I spoke about locations. Well, if I go into my setup here, so again, I have different locations here. So I've got my locations, which is the unknown location. We have a concept about VPN. We'll speak later about it, and my home office location. So the home office location is the standard one, and I combined it here with my my network environment. And my network environment says if I've got a machine that is in which has that gateway together with, for example, some of those DHCP server and a client setting called my demo and resolutions. If 2 or if 3 of these parameters matched, then the network environment home office is configured and assigned to the machine. If no one of that parameter here do match to a location, then the in that case, it is assumed that always the unknown or that the device is in an unknown location. Yeah. So and going back to my machine, I hope my password is now working. Smart. Strange. But I've got another. Read. So sorry about that German guy. I don't know. It seems that I changed something here with my password. I'm logging into a machine, and we will see that the machine here, that the agent, when the agent comes up, that the agent is detecting for the network location. So in my case, the machine is in my corporate environment, and the agent here, when it comes up, it detects and it proves the environment. And while I have here 79 environment, my software standard location is set up as an unknown location. Yeah, so that fits together to what I said. We have set up here my home office environment, which covers .0 and a 74 environment. But here in my environment where my machine is located here, so this machine is in an unknown location, and it is detected here. So there are some additional, so the security location here, that is a policy that I configured for the agent so that it shows up here. And the policy also is, in my case, configured that the user would be able to override by clicking on one of that locations. Nothing for a productive environment, but for a demonstration environment where you want to play around a bit with locations, then it makes sense also to configure those configuration here to override those locations. So what we have is in endpoint security, the policies that we use to configure here are policies that are created like every different policy in ZENworks. And those policies, for example, the one I used here is a global policy, a global location policy. And that global location policy is that one that you can see here that includes the visibility for a customer, and it includes the possibility that I can override here the configuration, as you can see. Yeah, you see the location also and the configuration here in the list. So what I've done here is I've created some global application list, and we first start with the we go alphabetical through the presentation, and that means we have an application policy control here configured. So the application control is a blacklisting control, which is where you enter applications here in a list. Means it can be application, but it can also be another extension. So we read the information inside the executable itself. It's not the name of the executable which we are checking. We are checking the parameters. What is the name in the iTunes.exe? So if the iTunes or the Kazaa would be renamed, you can't start it. And you can here with the application control, you can configure if you are allowing application to start, if you're allowing to get network access, or if you aren't able to start it. So, and to get you familiar with the concepts of endpoint security, I configured a global denied application control that says from the configuration there are different applications, these which aren't allowed to be run in the corporate network. So from globally, you aren't able to run those applications, regardless in which location you are, except the point that I configured to that global application an location which I assigned to the unknown location. And this global location configuration is now a configuration that overrides the configuration of my behavior. Yeah? And here the team viewer is running without no restrictions. So we can run team viewer as we are in an unknown location. Yeah? And as you can see, the relationship here is that I assigned here a policy group called standard security policies. And in that standard group, all my additional policies that I want to describe are listed here. So what does it mean to my application? So we are here, Mr. Reed, and if we have a look into our agent, so there is my agent running. So, and I need to find an Explorer. And on my local machine, there is a TeamViewer setup. Yeah? And if I run here the TeamViewer setup, and I would only try to start the application, then I wait a second. And my TeamViewer is starting. Yeah, that's because I'm here in an unknown location, and in that unknown locations, I'm allowed, yes, to use the TeamViewer. So, and if when I now switch my location to different, like to my home office, so it's telling me that I have now switched it to another location. And when I now start the TeamViewer, nothing happens. Yeah. So that's the blocking that I configured to the team viewer, every time we can also create messages so that the user is aware of that something is blocked. Okay, yeah. So first control, we saw that the application is blocked. We saw that different behaviors are happening if I am in different locations. So here's my home office, and same is there's a rule called communication hardware. So and this one is really cool one because this is also one I configured in my setup as a global. So this allows you from the hardware point of view to disable the access of different things like Firewire, Bluetooth, serial. So those are not so common, but some vendors are offering the possibility to, for example, to allow only Wi-Fi when not a network connection is there, and also we do it here by software, so we can control if something is wired, then Wi-Fi is not accessible. Also, we can combine the bridging between if you would have multiple cards and you allow things here. So if like Wi-Fi and wire to be enabled, so that packages are bridged between both ports, which is not needed if wired is only available when Wi-Fi is not connected. So, and you can play here in that with your adapter and do some basic control, yeah? So means if you go here to if I go back here to my shared security policies and my global hardware here is configured that I'm using, so I'm disabling everything, which is telling we can't use those connections. If there is a dial-up, yes, I have disabled it, but enabled when it's wired. Wired is enabled everywhere where I am, but Wi-Fi is disabled, and there is a communication virtual also disabled. So we have here some basic levels, which I override in my case, and only in one place. So that means there is, because there is, I enable here everything when I am in the unknown location, because depending how Windows is working nowadays, so there are some problems with Windows when they are in power saving modus to enable wired and Wi-Fi correctly, and there is a knowledge base article regarding ZESM, which is telling about that here. So how to configure that. That's why I did that. This is my basic policy, and I override that policy in the unknown location, so that the unknown location has always a wired and a Wi-Fi connection available. We will see later what the policy will do. So this is a security policy which controls the hardware. So next policy is a firewall policy. So ZENworks Endpoint Security includes a personal firewall which is implemented and would disable the Microsoft firewall. This firewall is location aware, and that's the cool thing on that is that we can play around with having a full stateful firewall if it is outside the company, and it is working also always as stateful. It has everything enabled, but if you are in the company itself, it would detect that from your network location that you are in your inside perimeter, and there you don't need to have an as strong firewall. So while maybe you want to have open ports like that you want to use to access your remote control from ZENworks, for example. And then in the company, you can lower the security of the firewall. The firewall policy or firewall also includes ACLs, so based on IP addresses or MAC addresses, so that you can enable or disable access to network hosts, for example. Yeah. So the firewall policy itself also works like you have seen in the application control. It's a policy that you configure here, where you control, for example, here in my, just for demo purposes, it's nothing which you would configure maybe in a productive environment. But here I said in that case, globally, my firewall allows the SCP to every server inside my network environment. And as I am here in the unknown location, for example, so I have configured my firewall not to accept communication on the SCP port. So which you would see here, which is the default behavior for SCP, that the firewall is closed. Yeah, and when we have a look here on my client, we are currently in the home office, and it should allow an SCP. So first I need to connect to my network. So now I have here SCCP as my so I have SCP connected, and I have the connection to my server, and now I'm switching connections to the unknown, and I'm trying to access here my server. You can see nothing has happened. Yeah. Also in that case, the unknown location overrode the global configuration, and therefore I'm not able to access my server through the firewall or through STCP because my personal firewall from ZENworks overrode the configuration. Yes? Okay. By the way, there are several possibilities if your VIP is somewhere and he needs access. So you can always override the configuration. And therefore, there's a possibility here in the configuration. There is the password which you have set with the agent security in the beginning, where I showed you the configuration. There you are defining a password, but that password is only for the administrator. You would never give it to a user, but if the administrator is playing around here, he would be able to override the configuration and to reset the machine to see why something is not happening. And you would have the possibility here to check which inheritance of the agent is working and which configuration is currently available here. For the setup, if a user would have problems why he is not in the company, but he need important access, and you disable it through your configuration, there is above a password key generator here, where you set up the password of the agent to override. You set it, the username here, you can set the machine name, and you can define how long the override password is able to work. Yeah, so we can generate a key which is the user using, and then he is able to run it a certain amount of time, which you configured here, and is able, for example, to access USB devices or others. Yeah. Okay. Well, time is going fast. So some firewall settings. Locations assignment, we spoke about that here. To show you, I did a video of that because with that location assignment, what you've seen there, what I've done here is I had in my location, I had a cable in, and now I disconnected the cable, or I'm now disconnecting the cable. And while the cable is disconnecting, the Wi-Fi configuration is being established. He is seeing the new IP addresses, and he's now switching to the security location. And there is a second thing which we will learn later. The agent, we can also define wireless networks, which we are able, which would we be able to see here. Yeah, and in my case, when I just switch to another machine, just let me see. And this is a machine which is physically here connected. This is my workstation, which is here connected.
We can't see your workstation, Oliver.
You can't see it?
Nope.
Okay. You see, okay, I good that I did some videos there. So I go back to my other one. So that's maybe also something from security that is. So
now you're back.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm back. So then I'm not able to show it on that machine while the screen is secured by ZENworks. Going back. Okay. And then USB and encryption. So ZENworks is able to, ZENworks is able to manage Microsoft encryption, the Microsoft encryption policy. That means we are only using Microsoft to go BitLocker on the machine, and we are able to save the password. We are able to encrypt and to detect that USB device is when it is connected to a machine. We are able to see if a drive is encrypted or not. If it isn't encrypted, you are forced to encrypt the device so that you are able to use it for read and write. Otherwise, if you don't accept that the attached device will be encrypted, then this device is only set to read only, so that you aren't able to store data on that device. The Microsoft encryption policy does not only cover the USB encryption, it also enables the Microsoft folder encryption, and certificates which are needed for the folder encryption are saved in ZENworks so that an administrator can use them for decryption. The folder encryption here can use, or I didn't put it in here, can be used for public folders or for personal folders. So if you want to have additional security for folders, so I assume that you are using BitLocker or ZENworks full disk encryption to secure your devices. But if you want to have, for example, for HR, additional folders where a user can store data on, then it's folder encryption that is enabled to Microsoft folder encryption, and where we store the certificates. So if a user leaves the company, then an administrator is always able to decrypt the files on a machine. Yeah. So, and what we have there, so also this is one of those policies. I go to my standard security policies, which the MS BitLocker encryption policy is behaving a little bit different. There is new inheritance for the encryption policy, because it does not make sense to have in one location a big blotter enabled and on the other not. So therefore, regardless where you are, the BitLocker encryption is always enabled. So, and in my case, we see you can add devices or drives here in that list. So ZENworks has a tool to detect the USB devices and to add them here into the list. So in my environment, I have some of those devices added that I don't want to encrypt during my demonstration, because they have some data that are using for backup here. So this is also important if you have, for example, sometimes if you allow iPhones, then you maybe don't want to, and you want to have the USB storage included to access, then you may not want to also to encrypt them. So it's not a breach, because iPhones always are encrypted, and therefore there is no data loss. The only thing which you may think, but that's another thing, is do I want to have USB access to an iPhone? But in that case here, iPhones wouldn't be, having an iPhone wouldn't be, you would add them and then they wouldn't be encrypted. So, and here for the disk folders itself, here in my user profile, this directory is encrypted, and as a user, I'm only able to access it. Here in that base folder, if multiple users would use that machine, they would be able on the same machine to access this file and to read those files because the policy is assigned to the machine. I have no secondary authentication here enabled, so we can enable stronger password security, but I don't want to do that because then I need to enter more passwords and that makes it too complex. Just USB devices. Be aware sometimes on virtual machines, USB behave strange. Not everything is working there as expected. Therefore, I added my physical machine there, which refused to show its screen. And well, we'll see if currently the workstation is able to logilink UDIC. Okay, it's assigned here, but I can't see the device. So, but what I can see here, it just let me. As I said, sometimes USB is strange to. Let me see. Okay, here we have a device. So I have now here multiple things in place. So this device, as you can see, we have on top of those devices, we have put on top of the Microsoft standard BitLocker utilities, we have put in our utilities. This one is detected as a secure device, and the device is open. I have also, and because USB is later, I haven't allowed every USB device to be used as a USB device in my environment. But this device is enabled. Just to let you see, if I disconnect the device here and I connect the device to my local machine and I go to a local folder, you see the device here is locked, and now now I need to show you this, because if I disconnect, it will look a bit strange, but I'd like to show you why I add the device and I connect it to the host. And I want to access the device. You see here, this is a standard behavior. So if I take a BitLocker enabled device and I enter my password there that I have defined in ZENworks, and I share now my second screen here. Sorry, not that one. Then here I'm also on a machine which hasn't ZENworks enabled, I'm able to use that USB stick. So, and that's a great usability of the integration, we have always the access to the keys that we need. We can put in audit there. We can control that device is encrypted, but we can also use it at home and everywhere. Yeah, and that is a great advantage from the BitLocker. So I just wanted to show you there are some full disk encryption audit configurations in the back end I haven't set up so far. What I want to show you here in the machine, here you can see the encrypted file folders, and it's indicated as green, that is an encrypted one. And if I go to my user and I go to gread, I also I haven't set it up so far. If I go to, it's here. So here's my secret. So if I now create documents and I put them there, so they are encrypted in that folder. So that's about folder and Microsoft encryption. Some deeper dive. Scripting. Yes, I don't want to dig in. So I put it only for information there. So no time for scripting today. Storage device control. So that's also a very important one, because you've seen the storage device control. This is the one who can whitelist USB devices. And you can here control the availability of devices that can be attached to a system. So in my case, the storage device control plays together or does do similar things like the USB connectivity. The storage device control is for the storage accessibility responsible. And it includes not the variety of USB, because in USB you have the difference between keyboards, portables, the mass storage. And therefore here in the removable storage, you can control, for example, that the CDs and the floppy drives aren't nowadays really important. You can enable, disable the access, or you can set a writable for USB connectivity. Yeah, and you have the granularity with the USB connectivity, where you are using the possibility to say, I'm using USB devices. They have the default access enabled, but if they are showing up here in that list, so those ticks are enabled, but otherwise they do not show up here in the mass storage class because it is disabled there. It won't be accessible for the user, except that here for HID printing classes, this USB informations, these devices are available and accessible for the user. So, and which means some of the controls which you have seen here, while the USB stick here was able to connect and the other wasn't able to connect, is something which comes together with rules that are configured here in that USB rules. And just to give you the impression about the global storage, this policy here is now configured as, there is no access, but portable devices like phones would be attached as read-only devices. And if you go deeper here in the global USB device, here I added the possibility that my devices are enabled, and I've got here, for example, my stick that I enabled here, and the enabled device here so is entered by a serial number. So you know that there is a tool here in ZENworks Service Desk. ZENworks Service Desk. Oh, that's when time goes by so fast. Here in Home, you have a tool, a download tool, that is the Endpoint Security. Here the ZESM device scanner tool, and the ZESM device scanner tool is the one which is able to I have no access to my so what? Let me see. Need to switch my security. Right. Get it back. So the agent was written. So you see here there was something set back. And I have now, I should have get back my connectivity, and here my BitLocker drive is coming back. So so the device manager, yeah, that's something which is when you play with USB devices, which is important. While you see here which USB devices are connected to the machine, and I disconnect the one I used for encryption, and I connect now the one to here, to this machine, and you see there is a problem with the device. So here now comes the questions. You are able to use the device, but it is not encrypted. Please encrypt, otherwise you are only able to use that device as read-only. Yeah, that's what's now happened to this device. So I can't write on this USB device. So, and if I put in a search device, which you aren't able to see, then you see here USB device came up, but it is immediately disabled because this USB device that I attached here to my machine is non-allowed USB device. It isn't in my list. So if the list that I'm using there not using serial numbers, so then you can also allow a family of USB devices. But here in that case, as a user, I can't do anything. I can't activate the device. That's something which is only possible if I go now to my agent, and if I override the system, then I would be able to access the device. So which would be here now again. And you see now I'm able, the device has become active, and I see my device here. But that's only because I overrode as an administrator the configuration of my policy. Yeah. So if you play with the product, just be aware that that is the way how to. So now it comes I don't want to encrypt this device because this is used as a booting stick. But if I go back here and I override the policy, then you see that, okay, it is overwritten, and in a few seconds, I'm not able to. This is an USB. Yeah, a few seconds, you will see that it will also move here the USB again to deactivate. I said in the beginning, sometimes it behaves on VMwares not as on physical devices, USB, as it is treated. Therefore, I use a physical machine for that. Okay, we are going out of time, but I hope there is that device scanner here. I've installed it, and this is a device scanner information that reads the devices and which can then add it to the policy. I wanted to also to show that VPN enforcement policy. So, and also that is a cool stuff because I can create here, so with the unknown trigger or with the unknown location as a trigger, I would say if you detect an internet, then initiate a VPN connect to have always VPN and VPN tunnel active when you want to work on your device. Yeah, and there's a simple implementation, and there is a more complex configuration how you work with the pre-location and the VPN location. So I put that here also in that window together. So what I did, so I'm on in my home office, as you can see, and I'm connecting the Ethernet cable. So from a Wi-Fi connection to a wired connection, it changes the location, and it starts the VPN client. Also shows a message, and from the unknown location, it's moving to a VPN location that is also configured in the system, so that I'm now able to work secured. Yeah, always. Soft Ether is maybe not the best example because here you have the possibility to also to create that connection to the tools, but there are other VPN tools that requires that do not have that automatic connect, and you can set up it by a policy. If you are interested in, so I've got my VPN connect not assigned here, but I've got it configured here. So it means that what you have seen here is the client from the connection which I'm using. I have a location created which has no network environment. So this is only for switching purposes. And in the advanced, I have now the detection inside to detect, well, am I in the VPN? So that's my VPN server, or that's my DNS server. So when I'm constantly having contact to him, so VPN traffic and the VPN location is used if I'm coming from the unknown location to the VPN location. He's switching from unknown to the VPN location. And if I haven't contact to my server while it isn't possible, then also my VPN disconnects here and I would switch back to my unknown location. Okay, so if I disconnect my my agent also manually, then it would switch to the unknown location. So you've seen that by the video. And last but not least, there is well, you've seen it a bit. So we have the possibility to manage Wi-Fi networks. Yeah, and that means I have configured my system to have no ad hoc connections, and my Wi-Fi connections are configured, but here are only my known locations in here. So means that when I am outside my company, I have the possibility to see every network. So means here my unknown Wi-Fi policy that I have here, it allows me to have it enabled and to have a minimum security when I'm outside the office. But if I switch to an office location inside my system, I'm only allowing here my Wi-Fi connection in both of those locations to see those two access points. So if someone is building up a new access point beside your office and wants to get your users inside that access point, so you can only inherit that, or you can define the access points that are available, and you can also set a minimum. So in the office, you would maybe take here something like this, a minimum security, and this is here my access point. You can also enter the name and the MAC address, and you can also white or blacklist here access points. Okay. So 15 minutes longer, so we needed a bit in the beginning. I hope it was worthwhile and you saw a bit about which capabilities ZENworks Endpoint Security has. So are there any questions? Are there any chats that came in? So
I've looked in the chat, Oliver. There's nothing in the chat right now, but I guess that if anyone has questions, then just please unmute yourself, or if a lot of you have questions, then raise the hand.
Yeah. Yeah, as you can see, it's never enough time to show all that functionality that includes in endpoint security. And even we did not spoke about the BitLocker. But I hope it gives you an impression which level of security you can establish with endpoint security. Yeah? As you play with those whitelisting with the USB and so on. So even I didn't show you to attach a portable to the device, but it's in the end the same what you have seen with the USB device. So with the right.
I think Oliver, I can see that no questions has arrived yet, but I'm pretty happy with the presentation. It was very thoughtful, and we like all the known, the shown examples, because this gives the opportunity for the viewers to see how it's done in the real world. So that was quite nice. Just to inform you, your screen is still shared. I don't know if you know. But okay. I'll just pop on camera again. I'll just give a brief outro in Danish, because it's just for the information. It's easier to say in Danish, so just give me a short second. Som sagt, jeg skifter lige til dansk. Sorry. Fordi vi får besøg af OpenText i Danmark den 30. november. Så jer, der både har deltaget her, der kommer vi til at sende invitation rundt. Og 30. november får vi fysisk besøg på hos ZISPA i Vejen, hvor vi både får besøg af product manager på Fortæller og Robert Redgrave. Samtidig får vi besøg af Jenny Whiteside og også Ron van Høek omkring ZENworks. Og det kommer til at være en dag omkring både ZENworks og Fortæller, men hvor vi kigger meget på, hvad ligger der frem i tiden. Og så vil de rigtig gerne høre de her ting, de overvejer udviklet til applikationen. Er det rent faktisk noget, I kan bruge til noget, eller er der nogle andre ting, som er i jeres øjne mere vigtige? Så der får man muligheden for at give sit besøg med at snakke direkte med OpenText. Og vi kommer også til at løfte sløret for vores SaaS-løsning. Det sender jeg ud omkring. Der er begrænsede pladser, og det bliver primært kun dem, der har deltaget i vores webinar, og dem, der i forvejen arbejder med OpenText-applikationen, der får muligheden for at komme forbi. Men det hører I nærmere om. Okay, well, Jenny, I was just introducing the 3rd of November event, but I did it in Danish. So I'm pretty sure you didn't understand a word.
I understood the Robin Redgrave.
Okay, perfect.
Same as I.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be great to meet everybody. So hopefully you can come along on the 30th of November. I know ZISPA are going to put on a really good event, and as Martin said, we've got Grish from Bangalore coming over, who is our product manager for collaboration. Robin Redgrave, and also then Ron van Høek, who can answer any of your ZENworks queries. So we hope it'll be a really interactive session, very much guided by yourselves. So yes, really looking forward to it.
Perfect. Okay, so well, I guess this is the name of the game, so to say. So we don't have any more coming up. I'll make sure to share the slides from Oliver and also the recordings from today's sessions. So well, I guess there are no questions. So Oliver, you provided answer on everything they had in mind. That's a nice job done.
Yes, thank you very much, Ollie.
Okay. Hopefully. But if there are questions, please send them over through Martin or Jenny or me. So there is the email on the presentation.
I'll wrap it up. People can just send me the questions. I'll make sure to provide them further on, and so you can get direct answers. No problem.
Perfect.
So everyone, thank you so much. We'll turn off the today's session so you can get along with your daily tasks. So see you again another time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.